Hello everyone, Republic Jim here. I'm just out heading for a campsite on my upper property. I've already made the climb up to the upper part, which is about 150 foot of vertical change there, and that's kind of a difficult haul while pulling a sled. And now I'm approaching the campsite from a different route, so I'm breaking ground or trail on the deep snow, getting a good workout with that. But this won't be any kind of survival camp out. As you can see, I'm hauling lots of gear along, so should be plenty warm and comfortable. But I want to experiment with a little bit different setup of my campsite and practice some getting a fire going in the snow again, because I haven't had an opportunity to do too much of that so far this year. So once I get everything set up, then I'll have to go back home and walk the dogs and take care of things at home before night, and then I'll make the trek back up the hill and spend the night here. And I'm anticipating it should be fairly fun. Of course, it's way warmer now than it should be at this time of year, and as soon as I thought about leaving the house and it started drizzling. Now we're getting just some sprinkles and some snow mixed in, so it's hard to tell what the weather will do tonight, but I plan to be comfortable regardless. So I'm going to take some time while I have daylight and get my camp set up well and gather plenty of firewood. So I'm just about there now. Under different circumstances, if it was really cold and dry, my first priority would be to get a fire started and warm up while I was building my shelter. But currently it's just the opposite. With it being fairly warm and wet, my priority is to get my shelter set up so that I can get my gear out of the weather, keep it dry. Then I can mess around with getting the fire going, and it's not going to make a big difference as far as staying warm since I have a really good sleeping bag anyway. But I just enjoy doing the fire, so I'll do that once I get my shelter all set up. But anyway, I need to quit yakking and get to work, so I'll get back to you later. Well, I've got the basic frame of my bed in place. I haven't used this emergency litter with a setup like this before, so I'm just experimenting to see how it works. It's kind of a redneck setup, but now I just need to cut a pole to go across the top there and throw my tarp over so I have some cover, and then I'll be able to roll out my sleeping pad and get my big old sleeping bag out and everything. I just don't want anything dripping on them while I'm doing other stuff. So I'll get that ridge and the tarp set up. Hopefully that won't take too long because daylight's fading fast, but I'm hopeful that this will work out to be a decent system. And well, if not, then I can always just real quick throw together a raised sleeping platform on the ground, just anything to get me up off the snow. But I'll try it out and see how it goes, so hopefully I'll have the whole thing put together shortly. Okay, well, it's about 5:15 and I got my tarp shelter up and my sleeping pad rolled out and got a start on a fire. Now I'm going to snack on something, round up a little bit more firewood, and just get that fire built up good, and then I'll have to head back to the house for a bit and deal with my chores back there. But then I should be ready to come back up here later and have a relatively pleasant night. Well, it's right about midnight. I finally crawled into bed, and it doesn't really show up on here, but my double tripod set up with the tarp over it, and then I ran these poles on either side with my emergency stretcher hung on the thing, and so far it's holding. I'm a little nervous about the way the poles are bowing a bit, but it's holding up, and I got my accessory lighting up there. Hopefully this will give me a comfortable night's sleep. Feels kind of like a waterbed the way it moves around and gives, but pretty comfortable. As long as it holds up, I'll be good. And I'm about ready to call it good for the night and try and get some rest. So hopefully won't be getting up again until morning. Good morning. It's a little after 6 o'clock Sunday morning. And obviously my bed survived the night. It was fairly comfortable, although it constantly rained and snowed overnight, so it was just dripping. I only woke up a couple of times during the night, but when I did, I could just hear this steady drip. I stayed fairly dry in there, but obviously the tarp doesn't extend far enough out on the sides to completely prevent everything from getting in. And I did make the mistake of putting it up too high. If I were to do this setup again, I would definitely go with shorter tripods and put the tarp down closer over the bed so that it cuts down on some of the angle there on the sides. But all in all, it worked out pretty well. Of course, my fire is totally out now, so I need to work at rebuilding that and get my breakfast going once I have enough of a fire. As you can probably see right now, it's still a mix of snow and rain coming down, and looks like about 31 degrees, so it's cold enough for it to be unpleasant with the rain mixed in there. But I did not anticipate that Campout in January would get wet snow and rain. I really thought that it would be a little colder and dry and just get snow, but that's the way it goes. You just take what you get when you're camping out, and obviously it wasn't what I was expecting, but just make the best of it. So anyway, I'm gonna put down the camera and get that fire started up again. I'll check back in probably after breakfast when I'm ready to break camp. All right, breakfast is getting really close. Coffee's been perking for a few minutes. I've got hash browns and ground turkey cooking nicely there. I'm about ready to add some eggs and might throw a little bit of cheese on top. So I'll be ready to eat shortly, and then I can start working it, letting the fire go out, and while I pack things up. And I'm going to really enjoy having a cup of coffee or two here and having some breakfast here real quick. So I'm going to do that and get back to you in a little while. Well, I had an enjoyable breakfast, and then I took some time and scouted out some other locations and other spots where I have good firewood available. Did a little practice with the slingshot and worked on a couple of other minor skills. So now the fire's basically out, but I still need to shovel some snow on things. Once I get my frying pan and grate out of the way, I'll just bury that in snow. I'm about ready to load up the sled and pack up all my camp stuff and get ready to head back down the hill. So it's been an enjoyable camp out regardless of the weather. Hope you enjoyed that and want to see more of that sort of content. Anyway, this has been Republic Jim. I'll talk to you later.